Christmas at my grandparents' house had always been a mixture of warmth, tradition, and subtle tension, but this year felt different, like the air was charged with anticipation I couldn't quite name, and I found myself nervously adjusting my tie as I followed my family into the dining room, the smell of roasted turkey and baked pies filling the space, the tree glowing with ornaments collected over decades, and the laughter of cousins bouncing off the walls. Yet my mind was preoccupied with the thought that Grandpa Henry had been unusually quiet during the past few weeks, his eyes sparkling with that familiar glint that always meant he had a plan up his sleeve. As we sat down to dinner, passing dishes and sharing stories, I noticed him watching me more closely than usual, a subtle smile tugging at the corners of his mouth, and I wondered what was going through his mind, guessing at one of his classic surprises, the kind that could be endearing or awkward depending on timing. Just as we were settling into the main course, with cranberry sauce on my plate and my sister laughing at some inside joke, Grandpa cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention, and leaned back in his chair with the confidence of a man who had orchestrated countless family moments, and then, with a voice both proud and teasing, he asked, "So, do you like the house I bought you?" The room went silent, the clinking of silverware and the chatter of relatives fading as all eyes turned to me, and I froze, my mind racing, because while I had known he'd been making some kind of move behind the scenes, the enormity of his question caught me off guard. A house was a huge gift, something life-changing, something that carried responsibility, legacy, and expectations. And now I was expected to respond eloquently in front of the entire family. My heart raced, and for the first few seconds, words refused to form, leaving me speechless, aware of every pair of eyes in the room and the weight of a gift I hadn't anticipated, a gift I hadn't yet processed. The silence felt endless, stretching out as Grandpa waited patiently, his gaze steady, almost daring me to speak, and I realized that the surprise wasn't just the house itself, but the way he had framed it, combining generosity, pride, and that signature theatrical flair that made family gatherings memorable. I tried to swallow, to think of something appropriate, something that conveyed gratitude without sounding rehearsed, but the sheer unexpectedness of the gesture left me temporarily paralyzed, and I could see my parents exchanging subtle glances, my cousins whispering behind folded hands, and my sister nudging me under the table, all reminding me that this moment was bigger than a casual thank you. It was a demonstration of Grandpa's love, his sense of family, and the trust he placed in me to steward something monumental. Finally, I managed to speak, my voice steadying as I said, "Grandpa, I don't even know what to say. It's incredible," and though the words were simple, they carried the weight of every emotion swirling in my chest. Shock, gratitude, admiration, and a twinge of awe at the scale of his generosity, because a house wasn't just a building. It was a declaration of belief in me, an acknowledgement that he trusted me to make a life in a space he had chosen with care. Grandpa's eyes twinkled, his smile broadening, and he nodded, as if my reaction confirmed everything he had hoped for, while the rest of the room exhaled, the tension breaking into murmurs of congratulations, laughter, and a few playful jokes about my inability to speak under pressure, and in that moment, I felt a mix of humility and responsibility settle over me, realizing that such a gift was not just about ownership, but about legacy, opportunity, and family bonds strengthened through trust and thoughtfulness. The rest of the evening unfolded with more stories, shared dessert, and warm conversation, yet I kept stealing glances at the living room corner where the house's blueprints were framed, a reminder that what Grandpa had given me was both tangible and symbolic, and I reflected on how a single question at a family dinner could transform my understanding of generosity, love, and the sometimes overwhelming ways family expresses care, leaving me speechless at first, but ultimately filled with gratitude that would stay with me long after the holiday lights were taken down.